everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Built Like This podcast. I'm your host, Maxime, on episode 299. Hello. Yes, another videoless episode. I'm trying to figure something out because I've been using StreamYard for my visual components, and with that, the audio comes with it. But I've received some feedback regarding like the sound. I mean, the sound is fine through StreamYard, but whenever I'm moving away from the mic, suddenly I'm on mute because of the reduced background noise option that I select, and yada yada yada. Anyway, I really like to use the Zoom Live Track L8 that I paid good money for, okay? And so that is what I use when I'm not using StreamYard, when I'm not using a visual component. The only thing is I would like to have a visual component to obviously have video of not just a still image on the YouTube channel. So that's just some podcast talk in case you're wondering, how come we haven't seen her beautiful face yet? Yet again. That's why I'm in between figuring it out. But I really like I want to get my money's worth with this Zoom Live Track L8 because that was a few $100s, okay? So we're using this, and I had so many cool features in the soundboard on the sound pad that I imported, and it's like I want to use that again. I miss saying this or y'all hearing that. I mean, come on. Don't you guys just miss that? And then the next topic button. So we're figuring it out. Let's start off with some good news. For the Black community. What I'm about to say may ruffle some feathers because I think the Black community is fucked. In this American culture that we're in, we idolize people who may not be well-to-do folks, who may not have a peachy keen background, but because we like to glamorize drugs, war, abuse, addiction, every vile thing in the world, and we have so much content of that, right? We have BMF after BMF, we have Power, there's so many shows that 50 Cent produced that glorifies this particular lifestyle. Of course we're gonna celebrate the release of Big Meech, which is coming up in a few months. In 2025, he is set to be released from prison. Now, look, I am not here to shoot a Black man down. No, that is not my goal in 2024. Okay? I'm here to lift Black men. I am a pick me. Hello? Have we been introduced? Have you not listened to my previous episodes? I've been a pick me figure since the day of days, okay? And I'm not joking, even though I hate that stupid ass term. But if you want to go by these dumbass labels that we just be making up, that is me. But I do want to call out the irony in this moment here. Now, look, Big Meech has spent, how long has he? Let me look it up. I think it's been at least 10 years and probably 20. Let me just make sure. How long has Big Meech been in prison? Okay, because so here we have it here. He was initially given a 30-year sentence back in 2008, but later had it reduced to 20 years. Big Meech has been incarcerated since his son was only 5 years old. His son is actually playing his father in the show BMF. So this doesn't really answer my question directly, but he was given a sentence of initially 30 years, but that was reduced to 20 years. So let's say he started his sentence in 2008. Has it been 20 years? Yeah. It hasn't? No, not yet. It hasn't. So he's getting released a little bit early. And I mean, there's that saying, you do the crime, you do the time, right? There we go. No, that's something else. I'm trying to find a direct response. I hate when people do stuff like that. Like, give me a damn answer. Anyway, he's been in prison for a very long time. For charges of, racketeering, drug dealing, murder, a plethora of glamorified charges. I think I'm Big Meech, Larry Hoover, Whip and Work, Hallelujah, One Nation, Under God, real niggas getting money from the fucking start. And that's what I want to highlight here. We glorify getting money by any means possible, right? I was just on this podcast talking about here's ways you can have an OnlyFans page without getting caught. Okay? So this is just me being just very transparent with you all that we're hypocrites, right? We like to shame one thing but then glorify the other, right? Even though if you want to just keep it on the same level of whatever's bad morale, they're pretty much on the same level. But nonetheless, getting money is the goal. And with Big Meech, he got money in a way that is not necessarily peachy keen. He got money by creating a community of addicts. He got money by embedding drug addiction amongst a generation of Black people. I mean, am I wrong? Am I wrong? Oh, y'all about to chew me up. Chew me up. Chew me up. Chew me down like an annihilator. I mean, a spade is a spade is a spade is a spade. Now, I have been schooled about the community work he's done for the people whilst feeding them crack cocaine. Two things can be true. You could feed me an addiction and you could put money in the schools. I mean, this is America. All else, like, what are we talking about? So what? But yeah, he's set to be released in about 9 to 10 months, apparently. According to his son, this is something that is going to happen soon. And it's a blessing. It's a blessing, right? You know, a Black man is back home celebrating his family. And I'm just here to celebrate that with you all. So according to this report here, Big Meech is set to be released from prison in 2025. Demetrius Big Meech Flannery is set to be released from prison. According to the Detroit News, the Black Mafia family co-founder could be walking free in 2025. The hustler was initially set to serve out a 30-year sentence, which he was handed back in 2008. The attorney that he had initially had 32 months chopped off of his sentence after being found guilty of large-scale drug trafficking and money laundering. Barnett emphasized his client's dedication to rehabilitating and readjusting to society. How old will he be once he's out? That's what I'm wondering. I feel like he'll still be relatively young. I really do think so. His son, who's a junior, shared the news in his Instagram story. He posted how excited he is and, happy that his father will be coming home from prison early. And look, at the end of the day, it's great that he's alive and well and he gets to come home. He's done his time. Why not? People shouldn't have to rot in prison necessarily, especially depending on the charge that you are in prison for. I'm just calling out the irony in this world that we're in. It's like, I wonder, it's because the Black community is so thirsty for a leader of some sorts, so thirsty for a Malcolm X, an MLK, someone of that nature to lead us to success, to lead us to prosperity, that we are looking forward to the return of Big Meech as if he's going to lift us up. I mean, I know Ye is happy. Kanye, formerly known as Kanye West, he had a whole, what he do? Like a little concert about it. And I mean, I don't know, child. Don't chew me up. Don't chew me up. I mean, God bless. To God be the glory. But yeah, so he's out. He's gonna be out soon. He and his brother founded BMF as a creative agency and hip hop label in 1985. However, in the 2000s, federal agents deduced that the company was a mere front for a complex money laundering scheme. According to the feds, BMF moved cocaine across the country, raking in more than $270 million in cocaine sales. So let me just say this again. I think I'm Big Meech. Larry Hoover, whipping work. Hallelujah. One nation under God. Real niggas getting money from the fucking start. From the fucking start. I mean, get your money, right? Get your money. But if it's at the expense of someone being a forever addict, maybe we shouldn't find glory in that. And yes, there are circumstances in which people feel like, and maybe there aren't. Maybe it is more than just feeling like there's no other way but to drug deal. Maybe the systems that were created and presented before you gave you no other choice. I have sympathy for that. I understand. I just think sometimes we are setting ourselves up for some type of failure or some type of hope, expecting that's what it is. That's what a savior complex. We're looking for a savior. It is just so sad because, I mean, not to play the race card, but I really do blame white people for this. Maybe not the current white people that we have, but the ancestors of those who are here. Because they really did a number on the Black community, making us feel like we are powerless and we need some external savior, when ultimately we need to unlock the God in ourselves. We need to recognize that we are powerful beings. We are all made in his image. But because we've been brainwashed and conditioned for generations, this is the result of that. So again, I'm not here to shoot down this black man. I am a pick me through and through. I'm just pointing out the irony, the humor in this moment here. He did his time. He should be able to leave and be released from prison and make good use of his life moving forward. I do wish him well. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad to have him return to his children and be a sound figure in his household, in his community. All of that is definitely amazing. It's just the irony for me. But 270 million in cocaine? The Detroit News reported that the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration agents leveled the cocaine empire in 2005 in a now infamous drug bust. Big Meech, Southwest T, and more than 100 co-conspirators were all arrested for their crimes. I mean, America is just like an interesting place, right? Granted, cocaine still has yet to be seen as a lower level drug, but I'm just pointing this out because at one point in our society, weed, marijuana, Mary Jane was considered a high level offense type of drug. And many people were imprisoned because of the possession of that or the possession to sell that, right? So for us to be living in a world right now in which there are legalized dispensaries in so many states of marijuana, of different grades of marijuana. You could smoke inside, you could smoke outside. You don't have to have a medical card for it. It just speaks to the fact that nothing is real. I don't know how many times I have to say this. Nothing is real. It's literally all made up. We all create these rules and quote unquote regulations and think that they actually mean something. But they don't. Like, nothing is truly what the big deal of, like, nothing is real. Nothing is a big deal that we are conditioned to believe it is. So anyway, happy news. I know I sound so like negative. It's just so funny to me, it's just so funny. But yeah, no, I mean, look, he spent his time in prison. He did his crime, quote unquote crime, you know what I mean? Technical crime, let's just say that. However you want to see it. But yes, and he has done good in the community in spite of the fact that he has built a generation of addicts. Like, both things can still be true. I know that saying has been beaten down, but yeah, two things can be true in this case, and it still is what it is, child. It is what it is. But God bless, and again, I think I'm Big Meech Larry Hoover. And Larry Hoover, hold on. What about him? If Big Meech could be let out, wasn't that Larry Hoover I talked about? Okay, I got them mixed up, child. Yeah, Larry Hoover's going to make me an addict. I'm gonna go somewhere, Maxine. God damn. Okay, yeah, okay. That's who I spoke of before. Okay, I thought it was Larry Hoover. No, I thought it was Big Meech I spoke of before. Yeah, Larry Hoover was the one I spoke of before in a previous episode from it was a while ago at this point. He's in jail for murder, extortion, continuing to engage in a criminal enterprise. Yeah, that nigga's never coming out. That nigga is never coming out. But apparently he's done a lot of great things in Chicago. He is 73 years old. He's from Jackson, Mississippi. It's interesting to me how he only has one child, though. That's interesting. I don't know. You know how black men of a certain nature. I don't see how she looked like. Samaya, who? That's her name. In 2014, Hoover's wife created the Larry Hoover Project, aimed to give her husband clemency and have his criminal history reviewed. Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, they might as well let him out too. What the fuck? No. Okay, yeah, I was hard on him. But I was hard on him because I was only focused on the fact that he murdered a few people. I think it was 2 exactly. I think. But it was one of those things where, you know, you did me wrong. I do, you know, what is it? Eye for an eye type of thing. Okay, yeah, they're totally different people. Ciao. But did they... Okay. Big Meech is known in the Detroit area. He has nothing to do with Chicago, right? Yeah, correct. He has nothing to do with Chicago. Detroit and Chicago are nearby. So, child, don't eat me up. Yeah, Detroit and Chicago are nearby. Got it. Okay. BMF stands for Black Mafia Family. Again, I don't watch the show, so sorry if I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Yes, Larry Hoover is totally different. Correct. I do remember me talking about Larry Hoover. Okay, this is me just talking out loud. Anyway, God bless. I mean, they might as well release Larry Hoover. They might as well release Larry Hoover as well. He is the founder of the Chicago Street Gang, the Gangsta Disciples. GDs. Got it. Okay, educate me then. Educate me then, papi. All right, let's move forward. Oh, that's his son. But they say, hold on. Samaya's not a name of a girl. He looks just like. Okay, sorry y'all. Let's move forward. Okay. Speaking of Ye, so Kanye West, we know he is married to a new woman now who looks like a clone. She looks like the mannequin dolls that you see in the mall. And I say this because she does not seem as a person of her own body, of her own mind. She doesn't seem like she has a mind of her own. And she doesn't seem as if she has control over her body and what she wears. This is disturbing to see because in every image that we see of Ye and his wife, Bianca Censori, that's her name, we see her dressed quite strangely. She is either completely nude or just barely covered up. She's almost dressed, and by almost I mean she would wear stockings as if they're pants, and she'll have a top over, or she'll wear a raincoat that's see-through and high heels, and it's it's like, man, what is this? So her father decided to call out Kanye West because he has had enough of this, and he's calling him out for her appearance. His dad reportedly expressed concern over this and is saying basically, this is disrespectful. Why do you have my daughter outside barely clothed? You wouldn't want your child to be dressed as such in public. So why are you subjecting my daughter to do the same? Bianca Censori's father wants to confront Kanye West over fears he is tearing his daughter away from her family and turning her into a trashy commodity, end quote. Leo Censori, whose brother is a notorious gangland killer, has reportedly expressed interest in sitting down with the rapper to speak about his recent behavior. Bianca's father, Leo, wants to have a proper sit down with Kanye and ask him what the hell is he thinking when he parades Bianca around like a trashy, naked trophy pony. I mean, the words. Look, I agree with the dad. I think she definitely looks strange. She looks like she doesn't have any type of personality. She looks cold. She looks fragile. She looks like she's about to fall over. It's, blink twice if you need help. Seek some resources around you for women's shelter. Like something's awry. Something is awry. But let's see. Let me see if I can find her age. How old is Bianca Censori? Because I'm wondering, is she... Okay, there we go. Guess how old she is? 29? Yeah. Of course she's being abused. What are we talking about? She's 29 years old. She's married to Kanye West. She's from Australia. That's her her nationality is Australian. I don't know if she's from there, but that's her nationality. Oh yeah, she was. Yep, she was born in Melbourne, Australia in 95, January 5th. Hello. And she is married to Kanye West, who's 46 years old, and she's 29. She is being, of course. Y'all remember that video of this paparazzi lady coming up to Kanye talking about, is your wife being abused? Or she asked a very interesting question that led to Kanye West wilding out on her. He snatched her phone away from her and told her, how dare you ask me that question as a black man? And yada. Kanye West needs help, dog. Like, it's like he's constantly a victim. He's constantly crying out for help. He's crying over something. It's always something going on with him. Like, can you express some joy? What brings you happiness? When he's out with his wife, you barely see him smile. When he's out with his children, you don't see any type of joy either. It's just this very monotonous face. It just makes me wonder what's going on with him. So, yes, I absolutely do think she's being abused. Yes, something is awry here. I think she's a little strange. Since she's been with him, I'm looking at older photos of her and she looks pretty normal. But since Ye's been in her life and since she's been married to him since 2022, she's been this shell of a woman. Literally every outfit I've seen her in next to him, and even her mannerisms when she's next to him, she's on mute. She doesn't look into the camera. She doesn't smile. She barely walks. It's like she needs to be held. It's disturbing. It's quite disturbing. And I also think because, Ye has a child. He has children, but one of his oldest child, Northwest, she's old enough to kind of see the comments and the criticism. And even aside from that, she's old enough to kind of take a look at her and say, oh, I don't know, like questioning why is she wearing just her pantyhose outside, Dad? Why are her nipples always out and about? And it's like you see how Ye is seemingly controlling her. The way he has, it's like he dresses her up as if she's his doll. And that's literally his mannequin. So yeah, that's the impression that I get from it, that a lot of people get from it. I'm not an anomaly here. This is something that has been a conversation for quite some time. And, again, blink twice, Bianca. Blink twice. So I want to bring up Kelly Rowland. I didn't get a chance to talk about it last episode because I just forgot. But let's go ahead and discuss it here. Kelly Rowland walked off the set of the Today Show because she felt offended that she did not get the bigger size green room on set. And apparently she was supposed to co-host the show for that third or second hour, and was definitely disappointed that she did not get the size of the biggest green room there. Quote, Kelly and her team were not happy. They did not like the dressing room, so they decided to pull her off the show, leaving Kotobi without a guest host for the 10 a.m. hour. The accommodations at the Today Show are somewhat notorious for being tiny, and even hosts of the show are expected to have a smaller size room, I guess. Let me see the rest of that. The accommodations on the show, Today's Show, are somewhat notorious for being tiny, and even hosts of the show are expected to make do with what could be generously described as a large closet. I mean, that's New York for you. I'm not necessarily surprised about that because New York is just what it is. It's a very tightly congested area. That's just the landscape of New York. So being privileged enough to have a large space, like a typical room should be, not should necessarily, but like a typical room would be in a Texas, in a California, in a Georgia, in an area where space is space is massive. That's understandable. But being that that's not the case in New York, I think Kelly Rowland was being a little dramatic, a little petty here. And I understand she obviously at the time was promoting her movie, Mea Culpa. But I mean, ma'am, really? Mea Culpa gave you so much of a high horse that you needed to walk off the set? You should be blessed to be asked to co-host the Today Show. Ma'am, look, I know it was wrong to say, to ask her about Beyonce because she's her own person, right? Kelly Rowland is her own person, absolutely. But ma'am, Nobody's checking for you, Kelly Rowland. I mean, hello? Beautiful woman. Very talented within her own right. But nobody's checking for you, Kelly Rowland. Like, come on. Be grateful. Be grateful. And apparently at the time, Jelly. What am I saying right now? Apparently at the time, Jennifer Lopez was in the bigger size green room at the Today Show. And I don't know why they were booked at the same time. I don't know if, again, it's limited space considering that it's in New York. So, and I think actually Jennifer Lopez, I know she has a new movie out. It's like a semi-reality movie that's on Amazon Prime, I believe. So maybe she was promoting that at the same time. And to my understanding, these studios share spaces. So that's understandable. Maybe that's why they were in the same studio at the same time. Now, if you want to compare JLo to Kelly Rowland, I mean, come on. What are we talking about right now? Of course, JLo has the bigger size green room. Like, of course. That's not even a big deal. You know, JLo is successful within her own right in all capacities as a solo artist. I think that is already big just as it is. As for Kelly Rowland, she is big because of her proximity to Beyonce. Hello? Is the mic on? Yes, Kelly Rowland is talented. Yeah, but we don't know her that. I mean, I feel like aside from committed Black fans, I don't know if there are white fans who know Kelly Rowland's catalog, her solo catalog, the way that we know JLo's catalog. So, I mean, what are we... Why is this even being compared? So anyway, I just say all this to say Kelly Rowland should be grateful. She should be happy that she was even asked to be on such a platform as the Today Show. And look, you're being watched right now. Have some class. Have some delicacy. Delicacy. What, Maxine? Oh, so funny. Okay, so Rihanna decided to get back on stage. Finally, she decided to get back on stage and be the performer, the musical artist that she is. But apparently it was subpar. Her performance was subpar. Remember, Rihanna recently gave birth to, I mean, not recently, technically right now. It's been probably a year now. But she has 2 children. She gave birth relatively recently to her latest child. So she is, still in that motherly, maternal body. Very voluptuous. Her body is beautiful. But are we going to expect Rihanna to do Beyonce choreography? No, that's never really been Rihanna's bag. Rihanna has always been, quote unquote, lazy in her performances. Always. But it works for her because she comes from this Caribbean background. And with Caribbean dances, there's laziness embedded in the dance moves. Like a lot of the grinds, like, the slow wine grind, the just slow wine, it's lazy. It's just like a cute little, ooh, I'm cute. I'll do a little boom, 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 shake my ass a bit. I'll slow wine on that D. But no one's doing like a 1, 2, bam, cow, ooh, 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 ah. No one's doing that as a Caribbean artist. That's not necessarily a thing that is done. So I'm not surprised at all by this performance of hers. So she decides to perform at an Indian billionaire's estate. She was paid a whopping $6 million for this performance. And I guess this was the money that made her say, you know what, let me go ahead and put down this Fenty. Let me go ahead and put down this Fenty skin and my lip balm, lip gloss, and get on the stage and work. Let me go ahead and do that. And look, she got her money. She got her $6 million. She did her performance. I wonder how long the performance was in totality. With these types of gigs, I do wonder, are artists paid in full prior to their performance? Are they paid in a deposit and they get the remainder afterwards? Like, I wonder, just the setup of it all. But that's just me wanting to know the logistics. But yeah, she's a lazy performer. I mean, I didn't expect anything more from her. It is what it is. CDC. Let's talk about this. So, COVID was a time in our lives. A time we will not forget. Sometimes when I think about the pandemic, I think about how crazy of a time it was. How much I just can't believe we went through a time like that. How much I can't believe that we were policing each other, snitching on each other, fighting each other. Families were broken, relationships were broken because of opposite views about how to approach this hysteria that it was. And the only reason why it was such a hysteria was not because it wasn't real. Don't get me wrong. There was a viral illness being experienced through multiple cities throughout the whole world. This was something that many people experience either indirectly or directly, as far as the illness, or as far as just the experience of a lockdown. But the hysteria really came into play because of the news coverage of it all. The news coverage led us to believe people were dropping like flies, like literally in the streets, and then boop, dropping dead, because there was a death count on the Today Show, Good Morning America. It was literally a part of us waking up, watching TV, seeing, hey, what's going on in the news? Oh, 200 people died this morning. What? So it built this hysteria. Understandably so. It was a shitty time. It was a time in which we couldn't see each other. We had Zoom parties. We had drive-by birthday parties, baby showers, funerals. It was a time that I can't believe we all experienced. Like, this really was a crazy time. One for the books. Ugh, it's infuriating to see how much of a hysteria we experienced that did not have to be experienced the way it was. We could have handled it differently. It did not need for us to see the death count, the death poll. We did not need to see that. But we did. And it built on us feeling more afraid, more hopeless, and those who were already struggling with hypochondria struggled with it some more. So I'm not here to shame anyone necessarily for their particular approach to the virus. What I do want to shame, though, is despite the reports of the mask not working, that this was nothing more than a flu, and how coincidentally all other deaths were not covered, and anyone who died during that time died because of COVID. When no, that person had a heart attack for heart attack reasons. They had, high cholesterol. Or no, that person died from a car crash. Nope, it was COVID. What? How? He didn't wear a mask. That's why. It was a car crash. You know what I mean? Anyway, I say all this to say the CDC decided to come forward and say people no longer need to isolate for 5 days after catching the coronavirus. Yes, it's 2024, March 2024. And the CDC decided to finally say this 4 years later, that people no longer need to isolate for 5 days. Remember, it was 2 weeks, and then it reduced to 1 week. And now it's, I guess it was 5 days at one point. I wasn't keeping track. And now CDC is saying, hey, you don't actually have to do that anymore. Instead, per the CDC, they should stay home if they feel sick, but can leave home and resume normal activities as soon as their symptoms are getting better and it's been a day since they had a fever, without the help of fever-reducing medication. That means that the CDC is now both streamlining and simplifying its recommendations and advising people to treat their COVID infections like they would the flu or any other respiratory illness. Even though the novel coronavirus is nothing like I'm going to read that dumbass part. Because why they're saying even though the novel virus is nothing like see how they're still trying to perpetuate this fear-mongering tactic? What are you saying? They literally just said to treat it like the flu or any other respiratory illness. But, the Intelligencer, which is the article that I'm reading it from, wanted to add this point that they just decided to make up to increase this fear-mongering tactic that even though the novel coronavirus is nothing like the flu, but you just said it was. You just said the CDC said it was. So who's lying? Who are we to believe now? Are you the CDC, the Intelligencer? You know what I'm saying? It's everyone has their particular agenda. Still be afraid. There's a new one coming out. There's a new strain coming out. Still be afraid. Oh, wait, the CDC said it's nothing more than a flu. You don't need to spend 5 days isolated. Don't worry about it. Just spend a day at home and get back to work the next day. Many public health experts are backing the move, saying that, CDC knows what they're talking about. And supporting the plan have noted that it makes sense for the agency to align its isolation guidance with how everyone is now living with COVID 4 years after the start of the pandemic. It's just so infuriating. It's very infuriating because it was a psychological warfare. People were battling internal battles every day during this time period. And now to be chalked up like, oh, it was nothing more than a flu, or, you know, it really wasn't more than a flu, is insulting. It's insulting. You know, and technically this is good news, but it's also insulting because you think back to just a time that we all experience and you start to count up the lies. You start to count up how Fauci said, hey, if you get this vax, you don't get the COVID, you don't get the vid. You got the vax and we still got the vid. You know what I mean? So nothing was guaranteed, and we were told a lie after lie after lie, and we soaked it up because of the hysteria that was propagandized for us to believe. And so we believed it. Many of us did. Now, there were some of us who did not. There were some of us who questioned it, who held out. And I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that, you know, the people in my life, some people in my life did, but many did not. And so that led to this fear, this hypochondria being built or being intensified. And that's not okay. And it's just such a scary time that we're in. You know, like who do we believe? Who do we not believe? Who can we trust? Who can we not trust? Who's telling the truth or who's feeding us lies? What do you say to that? I don't know. I don't know what you say to that. But I'm saying good night. Good night. Thank you so much for listening. And I will check in with you all next time. Goodbye and see you next time. Peace.